Of course, you need to do the work to align yourself with that goal, but then you also just have to trust yourself, trust the process, and know it will come.
This is a finite opportunity to change the way that people view others, or especially view this entity. We have to start by like keeping people right here that have an incredible vortex.
Please, allow me to show you something.
All right, you guys, welcome to Savage Mountain Podcast. This is chapter, what is it, Betchy? Chapter 13. This is Savage Mountain Podcast. I am your host. I am going to be a guide on this grand tour with a good friend of mine. As everyone that comes on here, they're a good friend of mine. We have unfamiliar conversation with familiar faces and familiar conversation with unfamiliar faces. Did I get it?
I think that's the first time you got it right, to be honest. So round of applause there.
Bring it in. This show is brought to you by Neo Nutrition, Neo Life Physical Therapy and Wellness, and Neo Fit. Brought to you also by myself, Dan Quan Mickel.
Did you throw in Neo Nutrition in there?
Yeah, I gave him Neo Nutrition.
Okay, yeah, I misheard. Slip slow. What about Pura?
Oh, yeah. And also, Pura. That's it? Pura Visa?
Pura.
Yeah. Pura.
Juice bar.
Shout out to Dot, Pura Juice Bar, Dr. Barnes. So, with all that being said, and that was a very lengthy intro, we have Dr. V, aka Yazmyne Valencia in the building. So, give her a round up. All right. So as we set the table, could you, again, I know you, I've grown to know you, I've come to know you. You're an incredible person. You're an incredible athlete. Could you introduce the world?
Of course, thank you for your kind words. So starting off, I was born in Las Vegas, Nevada, raised in Japan and along the Gulf Coast, Mississippi and Florida included. And then for college, I took myself up to Delaware, where I got my undergraduate Bachelor's of Health Science. And after that, I came back down south, moved in with my parents. And now I'm on the path to become a doctorate of physical therapy, starting in August at William Carey. Like a brief little origin story of that.
Yeah. So, Las Vegas, Japan, Mississippi, Delaware.
And then Florida before Delaware. Was in Mississippi from about 5th grade to freshman year. And then I moved over to Florida, was there for about 3 years. Then I packed myself up and went up north to Delaware. Delaware.
So you've been everywhere. So it's like, as far as this, we may have a little bit of bias here. Like myself, like to consider like Louisiana is like where they have the best pound for pound athletes. Mm-hmm. Yes, I reside in Mississippi and I've been here for a significant amount of time, but home is where the heart is, Louisiana through and through. With you being East Coast, West Coast, Gulf Coast, a whole other coast.
Ocean away.
Yeah. Where have you seen like the most, what would you say the best athletes reside?
To say where the best athletes reside is hard to. For me, being a soccer player, being in Mississippi, it wasn't the place to be. Football took over and was in front of everything. Mm-hmm. When I moved out to Mississippi, I was lucky enough to go to a high school that was, their soccer program was a very high quality program.
In Mississippi?
And in Florida.
Pardon
me. Going to Florida for high school. Soccer, there was like, I got on a good team. And when you start getting into South Florida, those soccer athletes, they're different. But then even going up north to the Northeast for college, I started to see how many more opportunities are presented through sports and the different sports at that. So like down here, you may have your AAU basketball or your football, maybe have one club team for soccer. Florida, similar, like when, on the Panhandle, maybe
Yeah.
1 or 2 soccer teams, club teams. Then when you start getting into the South Florida, couple club teams, but you get into that Northeast, I feel like just the opportunities for so many different athletes. Let it be soccer, let it be football, basketball, lacrosse. I think.
You know what lacrosse is?
Do I know what lacrosse is?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, I know what lacrosse is.
Cool.
I actually have a lacrosse stick. I don't know if that's what you call it, but
Yeah.
I bought one just to kind of play around with. It's fun. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Good time.
I don't know. No
And
lacrosse
so,
is.
so then that's where I would kind of say maybe the Northeast, in terms of different kinds of athletes, might be able to be like made up there in terms of opportunity.
Ooh.
But I don't think I can tell you where maybe like the best athletes come from being in all different areas.
All right. So, well, with that being said, what sparked your interest to choose Delaware? If you're in South Florida,
It was getting out of the South.
and you just wanted to get out of the South,
Yep.
everybody want to come to the South.
And it's funny because the amount of times when I was, doing my visits, I saw schools in Georgia, Alabama. Me and my dad took a trip to Iowa, and the cornfields up there, and just you see a Walmart, and then you drive for like 20 miles, and then you might come across the school, another 20 miles. So it was like a lot of space, nothing up there. So I was like, all right, Iowa's not for me. Georgia, for me, it was just almost still too close to the South. And I think being raised in a military family where we moved around so much, I was like, why not Delaware? I've never been into the Northeast before. Let's go explore it. So that's, I think, what took me up there. And I was on a soccer scholarship.
Yeah.
And I think out of all my soccer scholarships, that was one where the tuition for the school was fairly low. Soccer scholarship that was offered was fairly high. So getting a little more bang for your buck, I guess. And yeah, just never been in the Northeast. Let's go see what it was about.
So Floridian that chose like beautiful weather to the gloomy ass Delaware, overcast ass Delaware, man.
And man, in September, not even September, November, it's cloudy. And they told me, they were like, you from Florida? I remember being at a practice and I'm jogging, got a good old smile on my face. And one of my teammates who's from New Jersey, like, man, yeah, you're always so happy. And I was like, it's just, we're outside, we're out soccer. Like, what's not to be happy about? And she then was like, all right, don't have to keep an eye on her. Seasonal depression's a real thing around here. I was like, what? Like, nah, no way. And then November came, the sun goes out, like goes away. You just got overcast and everything, just like dries up. And it's just like, wow, I see why that's a thing around here. You really don't have the sun. Like there's days in November where it's just overcast all day long. And I'm like, wow, okay, let me get down to Florida and get my little sun over the Christmas break.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too. When I'd go home for Christmas, I'd be, in 70-degree weather at the beach. My teammates sending me snaps of it snowing up in New Jersey and Delaware.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll see y'all in January.
Yeah, dang it, man. Golly. So, and we're going to continue to progress on that path of you being a scholarship athlete. Because not everyone gets to go to the next level, especially playing in their respective sport and being military, because like it's a little bit of inconsistency because you don't know, you always bouncing around, so you can't really put your roots at a certain spot. So how was that being on a team, and you played multiple sports, right?
I did in Florida, and then I did Mississippi. I did track, powerlifting, and soccer. And then when I moved over to Florida, I just focused on soccer.
Just focus on soccer. Did any of those other sports help like translate or help elevate your game?
Absolutely. So my junior year, I tore my ACL, and already having the previous knowledge that I had from powerlifting from my freshman year being in Mississippi, the weightlifting coach. So prior to tearing my ACL, we were in the soccer team was in the weight room and we were lifting, and I guess the the weightlifting coach had saw my form. We were doing like deadlifts or something like that. So at the end of the practice, he comes up to me. He's like, hey, like, you have any interest in any weightlifting or anything like that? I was like, yeah, like, I'm powerlifting champ from Mississippi. He was like, okay, go ahead and come out for one of our practices. So I came out, and the only thing I didn't like was they did Olympic lifting. So you had the power clean and the bench. My strongest lifts are in squat and deadlift. So I didn't end up competing, but I trained with them every second period. So I'd have second period weightlifting, fourth period, seventh period soccer. So then leading up to tearing my ACL, that put me out. And then I was recovering from that through PT and everything, come back in August, and I'm hitting the weight room hard because I plan on going to college soccer within the next year, or like the next year after that. So I was lifting heavily, and I think that elevated my game in soccer because, being 5'2", you can't be able to get pushed around. You got to have that. You got to have that strength. So yeah, I definitely think powerlifting gave me, or weightlifting, I should say, gave me the strength to excel in soccer. And I think having track my freshman year as well, just getting the mechanics on how to run faster or how to cycle your legs faster, I think helped me a lot as well. So getting the technique with the strength overall elevating me as a soccer athlete, I would say so.
Sorry to interrupt. Would you say that it also helps mentally, not just physically, doing track and powerlifting?
Absolutely. I think my freshman year, not just doing powerlifting, but making it all the way to state and winning a state championship as a freshman, the confidence that gave me, but then the discipline that it takes to get through the dieting, you're on a 2-week diet where I was waking up in the morning, I'm having a slice of bread with some peanut butter and a protein shake. I'm having the same thing at lunch. And then for dinner, I'm having a piece of chicken with as many greens as I wanted. So being in the lunchroom, I remember I used to sit with one of my friends, and they would always come with like a chocolate bar. Like that was their thing for lunch. They'd always have some type of different chocolate bar. Let it be a Twix, a Reese's or something. And they used to sit right next to me. And when I was lifting and dieting, oh man, I had to be like, hey, you're gonna have to move your seat. I couldn't sit next to him because he's over here eating a chocolate bar, and I'm having to have the discipline to be like, oh, I can't have some of that. I need to make weight. So yeah, I would definitely say the mental aspect of being able to do multiple sports, but then having to have discipline in those certain sports elevates across the board. Because, discipline's discipline, whether it's in your sport or not. So definitely having those avenues helped for sure.
Would you say having, like, also the mental component, that is a key factor in everything. But with also having a brother that also did his thing in powerlifting as well, was that like a contributing factor? Did that motivate you? From a competitive standpoint, or just,
Absolutely. My brother did powerlifting for 4 years before me. Not that I didn't have interest into it, but then I went into 8th grade and the conversation kind of started like, hey, are you going to want to do powerlifting next year? And I was like, I don't see why not. Like, you did it for 4 years. Let's give it a go. Yeah. And it was Thanksgiving break when I was in 8th grade. My brother was still in his senior year. He had taken me to a workout. And I think off the bat was like squatting like 170, with reps and stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm strong. Like, I can do this. Let's see what. And, my brother, he had some success with powerlifting, but he never got, he never stepped on that first place podium. So ultimately, probably being that younger sibling, I think it might have gave me a little drive of, okay, yeah, let's do it. Like, this is something that doesn't run in our blood, but we've been successful at it. Let's see what the next generation or what the next sibling can do and how far I can push it. He brought me here, taking what he's taught me, where can I take that moving forward? Yeah. So I definitely could say him being in the sport might have given me a little drive and that extra like dedication and motivation, be like, okay, yeah, this is something that, you're Valencia, you're strong. Let's see how strong you can be.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There we go. You have man, it's like most times you're rare air because if you say, and I may be speaking for myself, because like if someone is lifting weights and they play a sport that's not, let's say they do a sport that's not cheerleading or, yeah, just cheerleading, anything else, you'd be like, I don't know about that. Like, I don't know. You have a beautiful way of like still honing in your feminist or whatnot. And I don't know if I worded that correctly, but still like being competitive and still having that dogged mindset where I'm like, she like the best of both worlds. Like not a lot of, I mean, they'll call them a stud or like, oh, she's probably a lesbian or whatnot. But you have a beautiful way of like just doing your thing. Did you ever have that challenge of like stopping preconceived notions just because you did sports that's not typically rooted?
Yeah. I would say, like, I know when I first started lifting, I was like, ooh, like, I don't want to get too big. I don't want to get too bulky.
Yes.
But then lifting and not becoming this big old bulky, like, I think also, too, for me, the other sports I did kind of helped. Okay, you're putting on this muscle, but where's that muscle going? You know, being more in the active running. Okay, you're going to put on the muscle, but it may go more into, like, my glutes, hamstrings, and quads and not.
Yeah.
And my biggest, like, you know, I feel like as women sometimes being broad shoulder or having big arms, that can sometimes be, oh, I don't want to be like going back to, I don't want to be too big. But then for me, it's just kind of like, no, I'm strong. And I don't mind looking strong because I am strong. And I would say probably by my junior, senior year when I was actually lifting, I kind of went down this of, I want to look like I lift. You know, I want to look fit, you know, and sometimes that can be a slippery slope on diving too deep on how you look and less on how you feel.
Yeah.
So now that's where, at least around COVID when I was in college, I'm like, I was more on how do I feel, you know, not so much of how do I look. I stopped worrying about that number on the scale. And it's like, if you're squatting, you know, 200 pounds or something like that, you're gonna put some weight on, you're gonna put that muscle on. And then overall, inevitably, your body's going to change with that. And I think probably taking it back to winning a state championship, I was like, okay, I'm okay looking like this because I'm strong. So I think just tapping into it in a way of you can be a woman and you can be strong. You can outlift men and you may lift on the same level as men, but you know, we're stepping into, and I think COVID started a lot where I saw at least more women not just going to the gym and hopping on the treadmill. Like, no, we're moving dumbbells, we're moving barbells. You know, I'm okay. I don't need the 15s. I'm good taking the 25s.
Yeah.
And it's pretty neat to see. And even, you know, the women we work out with at Savage Mountain and over COVID, I worked out at this CrossFit gym, and my mom went to it, my dad went to it. We'd have like a family workout, but there was even strong women motivating you and empowering you to, hey, you can move that strong weight. I don't care if it's 300 pounds, you can lift that. So I think also being around the women who kind of set those stones down for me, that, you know, it doesn't matter how much of what you look like. You're a woman and you're strong. So, you know, kind of getting out of that mindset, I think kind of helped me surpass that a little bit.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely, I'm going to say like y'all motivate me all the time. You know, it really is. It's like whenever we would have our sessions at first, I was very, very dependent on like externally motivated. I'm like, man, if I didn't have the Marines or like the military personnel that I was working with at the time, like golly. But then it's like you and then my wife, and we have very like similar frames, strong arms or whatnot. Y'all not hiding away from it. So I'm like, yeah, they just as strong. So I like encourage and empower that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm right behind them. Like I want that to be something, because now being a father of two little girls is like, that's who they see. They see you. They see mom. They see the Kendalls of the world changing that narrative where the yesteryear rhetoric was. That's why we deal with the osteopenia, whatnot, with the older demographic where for so long, the treadmill, cardio is like, this is what we do.
That was the workout for a living.
You don't lift. That was it. Now we're changing it where the empowerment is like, no.
You lifting it. You moving the weight.
Yeah, man. And I feel like you're a pillar in that way. Like, I don't care what status is on, especially around here. It's like, no. You are one of them ones, especially being at the age that you are. It's such a level of maturity and grace that you have. So to pivot off of that, we're gonna dive a little deep here. Okay. Now I consider you like an earthly individual, you know? And then you just cool with the vibes. Like, I always tell this to Batchy, like, there's people that provide the wave and there's people that ride the wave. I think you're someone that you have a personality that you can provide the wave. You can set the tone, you know? And you also someone that can ride the wave. You can do your damn thing. So with that being said, as an athlete and just as someone that engages in training and is leading into the healthcare profession, are you someone that is a huge proponent of recreational cannabis intake? Was that too worthy? That
No.
was a lot. No.
No, I think that was good.
Hey.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like too much of anything is bad for you.
Yeah.
I feel like being responsible with it, that's where it really comes in. I would think it was a podcast or a doctor who was talking about it, to where when you actually partake in the cannabis intake, that it opens up the blood vessels to where you can pump more blood and actually get a better pump out of it if you were to work out while being...
Hold on. So, like, not to cut you off. So if give me about 225 on there, and I got 5 reps, I knock out 5, rack that thing,
Yeah.
hit the split.
And then you might be able to pump out 5 more.
Not even, no water, no healthy nutrition. Just light the
yeah.
spliff.
Yeah. I mean,
Batchy, did you know that?
I didn't know that. It makes sense, though. It makes sense.
you
Carry
know,
on. Do your thing. Do your
with
thing.
that, for me, taking it back to the question, everyone's going to do what you want to do. So I'm do what you want to do it responsible, do it in reasonable means, and be smart with it, you know?
Yeah.
And if it's helping you, by all means, go ahead and take it. If it's helping with your pain, if that's, helping your pain to where you're able to get through a workout, or you need to do a workout and a little pain and you need it to ease out. I mean, comparing it to all the other stuff that people have an intake of, whether that's prescription drugs, whether that's alcohol, or, cannabis here and there, it's in terms of being bad for you, compare it to everything else. Is it having more benefits than negatives, But then taking it back to too much of anything is bad for you. You eat too many grapes, I'm sure it has a negative effect there as well. So I say I support it and I believe in it.
Yeah.
Well said.
Hey, dude. No, I did not know. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yo, dude, that's a
And
win.
I mean, like, from like my personal experiences as well, I feel like sometimes now can't do too much of it now, because now you're dealing with potential social anxiety of when you get to the gym, you're like, you got to find that happy medium, you know?
You don't want to
of
create
the
a
middle.
dependency in a sense.
Yeah, of course, not a dependency at all, but then also too, if you do too much, sometimes people get those social anxieties and things like that.
Okay.
So if you're going into a session and let me just take this extra one, that extra one might put you as like, I would have been cool without it and still had a productive workout.
Okay. And the only reason I bring it up is because I'm part of that. I guess I'm part of the middle age, man. That middle, the middle child in a sense, where if I engage with an athlete, you know what I'm saying? And the way I was raised, it was like, you condemned to hell. You do that, dare, say no to drugs, that kind of thing. And then I feel like I'm cool. I don't do that. But like at the same time, I'm like, yeah, no, straight lace. You don't need to do that. You don't need to have a dependency. That is bad. But now I'm like, it ain't that bad, you know?
Yeah.
So like whenever I'm engaging with athletes, when you draw that line and then something pop up and it's like, yeah, coach, I'm a little faded. It's like, bruh, what are you doing? But now it's like, if you're responsible and you doing your thing, all right, let's stay, but stay that line of being responsible, having it within tolerance or whatnot, but not going crazy. I don't know. It's just a matter of like having a conversation that's like, because a lot of times things that happen at the top level, let's say from a professional level, it kind of matriculates downstream and gets to the high school, like professional athletes being paid. That's why they're called professionals. Now colleges are getting paid, and eventually high school athletes will be getting paid.
Yeah.
Like they will. It's just inevitable at that time. So it's like the same thing with the social or the tabooism that is, engaging in cannabis right now from a sports realm. You go from professional, college, and eventually, I mean, like, I don't know.
I mean, like
it may not.
Yeah, if you have those athletes that are just kind of like, if you're not going to put anything in your body, okay, true. Rock with that. If you're going to stay honed into, hey, this is my temple, nothing but water and high quality foods, of course. But then to have someone who may partake in, drinking heavy Friday through Sunday, that can be more harmful on you than maybe potentially taking a cannabis Friday through Sunday, and I'm interested to see when that conversation is going to really start going. And I think the more it becomes legalized, it is, because, alcohol is seen as water to some people. They'll be drinking more than they drink water. And I think it's something that you can't burn fat for like 3 to 4 days after you partake in alcohol consumption.
Yeah.
And so, I guess we're still the test bunnies on to see how that effect is with cannabis, but I'm interested to see when those studies are going to start coming out and saying, okay, they're both deemed illegal or I guess legal until a certain age. But I guess where's the science of which one could be worse for you?
Yeah, look at that, man. Look at that. I know one is on commercials and the other one isn't. I mean, you can't, but like all of it's like, it's pushed in the public zeitgeist. So, well, with that being said, you are, again, going in the healthcare, realm, and representation is one of the big things for me. And I know it's the same thing as you. So what ultimately was one of the driving factors that led you on that path to becoming a PT?
So physical therapy in general, I would definitely say tearing my ACL, the time I tore my ACL was going into the spring of my junior year. And knowing that for college athletes, if you're not recruited by your junior year, spring and summer of your junior year, going into your senior year is probably the most crucial of getting looked at for colleges. So I tore my ACL in February, had surgery in March, went through physical therapy, had amazing therapists at the clinic I went at, and I actually recovered early. I recovered in 6 months and was good to go by September. So going through that process and then turning into getting recruited, going into being able to play soccer at the college level, I think was the first time I was like, okay, this is something pretty cool. You're bringing dreams to people, and then breaking that down. As I was in college, I kind of was like, you're changing lives. You have someone coming in with pain after so long, the goal is to eliminate or at least subside the pain. And then that's when I was like, okay, physical therapy is what I want to go in. And then during COVID, prior to COVID, I wrote a paper on like women's health, talking about the cycle and all that. And then during COVID, my feed on Instagram and TikTok blew up about women's health and pelvic floor, and I got interested. And I'm like, being a woman at 21, 22 years old, I feel like pelvic floor is something that I should have heard a million times before getting to that point, and I didn't. And I was learning it through videos, and I was like, man, what's this about? And so then I started doing more exploring into that. I'm like, wait a minute, you can be a physical therapist for pelvic floor? Okay, what's that entail? And then I think there's a doctor that I follow on Instagram, and she's a pelvic floor therapist, but she works with strength training. So now she's having these women come in, and she's, building these programs for them for numerous of reasons, pre and postpartum. So then I graduated, came back down here, started working here, and then my thirst for knowledge of the woman's body and how I can better it for myself, but also for my family and the women around me, really made me want to hone into being a physical therapist and taking it down the route that I'm choosing to.
Yeah, and that route being what?
I plan to be a pelvic floor specialist in physical therapy. The goal is to work with, ultimate goal would honestly be like just strictly women pre and postpartum, getting their bodies ready for labor, and then helping their bodies recover after labor.
Yeah.
That's my ultimate goal through, of course, strength training and, not just sitting here doing one exercise. Like, no, like, let me put you under this barbell. Let's do some squats, or, just different, finding different ways to attack that problem, I feel like.
No, and that is a much needed problem, because me coming in from a non-traditional standpoint of physical therapy, yeah, I had a great relationship with the barbell, and the public, we assume that everyone has a great relationship with the barbell. The barbell has put you in a level of glory. The barbell has allowed me to move grown men from A to B against their will, so when you get in these settings, people don't want to move. That sedentary lifestyle it's a real thing. I always say that, like, cancer kills, but complacency is a big killer itself. But for you being someone that's changing the narrative in a way that a woman move, but also the expectancy or whatnot, and what they can and what they can't, I think that'll be a phenomenal way of going about it, and continue to push it and grow and knock it out, man. So, hey, salutes to you on that. I love that. But want to have a little fun. You talked about candy bars there. So, and me and Batchy had a couple of conversations about tier talk and where we like to rate certain things here. We may find a way to get back to some seriousness, but right now, if we were to have a tier talk, tier being the best, tier 1 being the best, and tier 5 being on its way out the door. If we can give, and you like candy bars, right? Mm-hmm. Okay,
I'll probably give you enough for 5.
Yeah, give me a tier talk, tier 1 all the way down to tier 5 of your candy bars.
All right.
So just to clarify, this isn't a top 5. This is a 5 we got to get rid of, or are we doing a top 5 where 5's like, it's still in my top 5?
It's her list. Yeah, it's a top 5. I need to know.
Top 5.
All right. The top 5, Reese's off the bat, but Reese's Fast Break. You've never had one? Go get you one. They're different.
Yeah,
They're good. I'd probably put that at my top.
a subgenre.
Yeah. Reese Fast Break.
Carry on.
And then for the second one, I'm going to go ahead and put Reese Cups. I'm a peanut butter lover. So Reese Cups after.
Is that allowed? Is that legal? Is it?
Can I have something to say? I mean, I can make another. I can
No, yeah.
It's your list.
It's your list. Carry on. Do your thing.
And then I would honestly say my third one has recently become a favorite due to Adam, and it's Crunch.
Oh,
Crunch is pretty solid, especially if it's from the fridge.
Man, he's 90s as it get. Yeah, Crunch. They don't even make Crunch commercials no more, bro. Dang, man. Old.
Literally, no. It's fine. So then after Crunch, I'd probably say, good old Snickers, pretty nice.
Okay.
And then that fifth one. Oh, I had one. It comes in a purple wrapper, but I can't remember the name of it. It's a purple wrapper. It has a caramel on it. I want to say it's.
Does it come in like pieces? Like you could break it off and it's a piece
Like
with caramel in the
chocolate?
middle, like Camarello or something like that.
Sounds like Camarello.
Maybe it was that one. Is it purple long wrapper?
Yeah.
Long? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I think that's the one. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll put that one as my fifth one.
Man, dude, you went out there. You
Yeah.
deep dive.
Yeah.
Deep dive.
Deep dive. Good Lord.
What's yours, Quan?
My tier, man,
Yeah.
my top 5. Yo, I gotta go, man. Kit Kat right at the gate. Gotta get a Kit Kat,
They're
bro.
slept on.
They slept on, bro. Not this new like duo BS that they got now. The Kit Kat, that's the one. Number 2, man, I'm all about the 100 grand.
I've never
Bro,
ate one of those
They'll
in my
throw a
life.
dent in the back of your mouth, bro. that kill you, man. Dentists be mad at you, bro. Shout out to Doc. I ain't had a one taken. I'm in 100 grand in a while. So yeah, I would go Kit Kat, 100 grand, Almond Joy. 4, we're going Crunch Bar, and then 5, a whatchamacallit.
Never had one of those either.
You never had a whatchamacallit?
Never.
Bro, that's wild, dude. That's wild. No, whatchamacallits are the best, man. So, all right, going back to you being an athlete, and you still are an athlete. Which you had a balance of like doing singular sport or whatnot with powerlifting and what else?
Track and soccer.
Oh yeah, and track. And then you doing a team sport. So as far as like you coming into your own, and also you being a younger sibling, having that voice or whatnot, and speaking and growing into your own, did you find trouble with that? Because I mean, you're diminutive in size or whatnot, and you're not like the biggest boisterous, kind of person or whatnot. So when it comes to like being you and finding you, did you find that in playing sports, team sports, or did you find that more so just going throughout life, traveling to Delaware for no damn reason? Like how was that? Because good Lord.
Yeah, so definitely have to say it does come a little bit from sports, being in the team sports. I think for me, I probably didn't step into that, say, that finding my voice until maybe I would say about later into my high school career playing soccer. I feel like I found it a little bit more. And it mainly came from my confidence, building my confidence. I would say freshman, sophomore year, I didn't really have that confidence in soccer. I've never been the most technical player on the field, but I'm always one of the most hardworking. Like, if you're going to beat me, you're going to have to put your best foot forward, plus you're going to have to work your ass off to beat me. So with that being said, going into my sophomore year, didn't get a lot of playing time in my high school team. And then going into select soccer, getting a little bit more of my technique down and elevating myself as a player, I came around my junior year and I definitely became more vocal on the field. And I think that came with my skill level elevating as well as the confidence I had in myself to, complete the mission that was given. And then after going into college, being a freshman around a whole bunch of seniors, like it's different in college. So I think although I might have had my voice, I kind of was taking a lot of the back seat. Similar situation happened my freshman year of college to where just wasn't at the level I needed to be, but there was games where I was the only player not stepping on the field, and that crushes your confidence, regardless of who you are. You have your peers, you have the people on the same grade as you, and I wasn't blinded to my lack of skill, but at the same time, being the only one to not step on at times, I was like, oh yeah, I'm never going through this again. So then coming into the spring season, I was ready to hit the ball rolling. Like, I'm going to get my starting spot. If not a starting spot, I'm going to get myself in, a substitution. If not, excuse me. And then COVID hit. We come back junior year. I'm hitting on all cylinders. I got my technique up. I got my strength up and my awareness for the field up. And then, of course, junior year was a rough one for me in college. I caught COVID, sprained my ankle. So thinking I'm coming in, ready for a starting spot, getting that taken away. And then senior year, I'm ready. The most fit I've ever been in my life, the most technical I've ever been. I really got my voice again with the confidence in there. Both of my senior years in high school and in college, I was the captain for my soccer team. So I think that kind of helped elevate that confidence a little bit more. And just, I would pretty much say having confidence and being able to successfully use my abilities in a game overall, probably in soccer, is where I got.
And you didn't
from
leave.
the boys.
You didn't leave.
I stayed. Are you talking about for college?
No, I'm talking about if you good at what you do, you know what I'm saying? Like your sophomore year, you like, hey, I ain't playing.
Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah.
you in Delaware anyway. Get the fuck out of there.
Trust in the process.
You trust in the process.
I knew I was a little bit behind when I had came in. Like I said, a lot of the girls up there, they're playing summer league with 20 to 23-year-olds. Down here, I'm playing pickup with the high school because that's all we have down here. So, then bringing it back to the better athlete of where I would have had to drove like 3 hours for the closest summer league team. I'm like, I wasn't doing that daily. So I already knew I was behind. And then over COVID, I worked my tail off, got into CrossFit, got really heavy into CrossFit lifts and workouts. And just overall, that was probably starting my journey of improving myself on all aspects. Got me really heavy into like manifestation, trust in the process. And if you do the work, you have this goal. Of course, you need to do the work to align yourself with that goal. But then you also just have to trust yourself, trust the process, and know it will come, but only if you're doing the work and aligning your beliefs, your mentality, and your habits to get to that goal, I think.
Yeah.
That's probably why I stayed, honestly.
Yeah. Hell yeah. All right, that's good. Robbie left. You know that?
He left?
Oh, bro. Nichols, man. He didn't get that spot.
I'm sure you told me that, but
yeah, he told me that. Robbie said, man, no more Thibodeau. Going to Hattiesburg. I'm out of here, man. It's like sometimes like and again, like that motivating drive, he had some external things that he wanted I got to do. This is like stopping me from doing that. Let me go somewhere. I'm gonna see this through. I'm gonna see this one through.
See it through, and I did it both high school and college, and I was rewarded in the end. And I think ultimately taking that outside of a sports, you stick it through. Must see it through, my boy. You gotta see it through.
Yeah. Trust the process. And again, like with that being said, it's no knock toward Rob in that sense, but it's also like it's multiple ways to the end zone. He get on down from there, and he create this. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if he stay down there, you find success, and you're like, I'm gonna keep hitting people. I'm an unhinged linebacker anyway. I ain't gonna become an unhinged physical therapist. So nah, dude, that is beautiful. I lost my train of thought with that, bro. That was a good one. That was a beautiful transition. So yeah, found it. All right. Now, if you know you know that you are unapologetically you. Would you consider yourself a hippie?
I would consider myself that I
would say free spirit.
Free spirit.
I would say free spirit.
Free spirit, absolutely.
I don't know nothing. To certain
traits. I definitely harness those for sure.
Harness what?
Just like the free loving the neighbor, being kind, not, I try my best to not let things anger me and frustrate me. And, sometimes I'm better at that than other times, but just being nice, being kind, I heard this saying one time and I'll never forget it. It's like, people may forget what you say to them. People never forget how you made them feel. And also too, going on aside from that, there's this person on YouTube that I listen to, Abraham Hicks, and she talks about this vortex a lot. And everyone has their own vortex, and what you put out in that vortex is going to come right back to you, and it's going to come back with 3 times the speed from that. So overall, I would say, yeah, I probably have some traits on just being kind, taking care of the planet, taking care of our environment. We live here. We're one of the most advanced species living here that can probably take care of our environment. Yeah, I would definitely say I have a couple personality traits from the free-spirited hippie side for sure.
Yeah. No, yeah, and I take that as and again, like it's more than just exercise for me, especially whenever we're engaging with the different or the multitude of personalities that make up most of our sessions. So, and from you, it wasn't like I've mentioned this to you off camera, where I don't think we're getting physically, like you're there, it's more so the camaraderie, the team component of it. And I've seen like the grow and maturation, but the consistency in regards to you just always being the light, in regards to like being a level of positivity, regardless of what's going on, regardless of, you don't like running, but we'll throw it up and you'll find a way of like, you know what, I'm gonna make the most out of this, bro. Like, this sucks, but I'm gonna make the most out of this. Or come on, you guys, we got this. And that was just coming from like this diminutive person, but she has the biggest, strongest personality. Or in regards to like projecting it in a positive way. And that was always like a winner. And I'm like, we have to find a way to keep this around. We can't lose that. So like, even with you being here, I'm like, yeah, Neo life, don't shit the bed. Like, we have to find a way, because like, this is rare air. This is fine. This is a finite opportunity to change the way that people view others, or especially view this entity, this Neoverse. We have to start by like keeping people right here that have an incredible vortex, as you just eloquently spoke on, have an incredible vortex. So with that being said, if there was anything, and we'll wrap it up here, if there's anything that you get in to, I guess, motivate, or someone that's on the line and don't know what to do, or like they're on that path of like that fork in the road, if there's anything that you said to yourself, could you enlighten those?
Age is just a number. I know I'm still young, but age is just a number. Give it a go. Why not? Try something new. And in terms of, if you are at a fork in the road and you don't know how to proceed, you get one body for your whole life. Take care of it. Whether that's what you put into it, whether that's what you do with it, just be mindful for that. If you only had one car to drive for the rest of your life, how well would you take care of that car? That's one of a common saying we use downstairs that I fell in love with. It's like, yeah, you do only have one car, and of course you can get operated on and have the surgeries, but that doesn't mean you're going to have the same car coming out of those surgeries, or the same body per se. So, just take care of it and be kind, be nice. I always say there's enough hate going on in the world. Just be someone to shine some light and some love, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Bax, you have anything to add to that?
I don't. That was well said, well put, and a beautiful way to go out.
Yeah. Hey, and that's a show, baby. Hey, gonna give me some. Bang, boom, and that's
Stay
it.
tuned for the next one.
Blast.
Yes, indeed.
Please, allow me to show you something.